Trump administration is ramping up its mass deportation efforts, going after undocumented immigrants in Chicago in what officials call Operation Midway Blitz. NBC News correspondent Gabe Gutierrez has that story.
The Trump administration stepping up its crackdown on illegal immigration in Chicago. Seen here arresting a man from Mexico, ICE says, was wanted for aggravated sexual assault of a child.
You try and reason with people like in Chicago with the governor and the mayor. You try and reason with them, and it's like you're talking to a wall.
Over the weekend, President Trump posting an AI-generated image of himself with the phrase, "Shypocalypse now." The caption, "I love the smell of deportations in the morning." The president saying he is still considering sending the National Guard there to reduce crime.
We'd love to go into Chicago and straighten it out. We're bringing back law and order to our country.
Over the last 2 weekends, there have been 14 homicides and at least 76 people shot in Chicago, with one alderman telling us National Guard troops would free up police.
I absolutely support the Trump administration bringing in more federal resources. Our city needs as much help as we could possibly get.
But Chicago's Democratic mayor is increasingly pushing back, writing the city just experienced record low homicide numbers, making this the safest summer since the 1960s.
Our communities remain united more than ever against the administration's attempt to unleash the military, National Guard, and rogue ICE agents on our city and state.
In a legal victory for the president, a conservative Supreme Court majority loosened restrictions on ICE operations in L.A. But in her dissent, liberal Justice Sonia Sotomayor writing, "We should not have to live in a country where the government can seize anyone who looks Latino, speaks Spanish, and appears to work a low-wage job." The White House insisting it does not target people based on race.
It's a multitude of factors to establish reasonable suspicion. But if an illegal alien has an MS-13 tattoo on his head, that's certainly going to be one of the factors that we consider.
Thanks to NBC's Gabe Gutierrez for that report. I want to bring in now Democratic Congressman Jonathan Jackson of Illinois. Parts of your district are in Chicago. They include the South Side. So when you hear this live ball debate of will the National Guard be helpful, won't they be helpful, you've got some in your community saying, yeah, it would free up police. Why are they wrong in your estimation?
Well,
or are they?
Well, they are wrong. And it's what the general function of the Department of Defense, now that he's renamed the Department of War. He is now turning his head away from peace towards war. This is talking about putting the American troops on American soil against American citizens. This is unprecedented. In the name of law and order, he's actually trampling the Constitution from the Posse Comitatus Act of 1887. I mean, he is trampling the rights, and is so rich with contradictions and paradox. No, we don't need him to send in military troops. We do need him to send in the resources. He's cut the alcohol, tobacco, and firearms, and we've got ghost guns that come in from Indiana, come in from other neighboring states. In the city of Chicago, there's not one gun shop, there's not one gun range, there's not one African-American that sells ammunition anywhere in the United States. How are children getting guns? Help us solve that problem on how these children are getting our streets flooded with guns.
Well, because we were talking right before we came to this segment about how when we talk about the gun violence that the city of Chicago has seen, some of that happens literally close to home, I mean, in your district. So what are your constituents saying about this issue of crime prevention and what actually might help?
Well, no one wants to see bayonets on the streets of America. When I saw those long-armed rifles here in Washington, D.C., it made my heart skip a beat. These officers and these great soldiers, they are trained to defend. They are trained to shoot and kill. They're not trained to deal with civic matters amongst individual constituents. That's what happens at the local order. If the president wants to be helpful, he should ask the governor and the mayor how he can best help. One way you can do it is to release,
what would be the ways to do that?
Reducing they've cut back on the money for anti-violence prevention. There were grant programs that were in there. They were working. We respect the police in our city and the troopers in our state. Why don't you talk to them? Why don't you have a summit, convene all the necessary parties? We all have the same goal in mind. I believe so, and that's to reduce violence. But this seems to be a campaign of fear.
I do think that when we talk about this, the other piece, too, is the administration kind of sounds like maybe they're waffling on it now, like they want to do the ICE deportations piece, but not necessarily bring in the National Guard, at least not immediately.
Well, he's waffled on everything. It's on trade agreements, China on, China off, sanction on, sanction off. People are coming in here after April 2nd. They're going to redo the world order on trade. And it's not made America first, it's made America isolated. He's making America go along. So he's backtracking on everything. Then he'll come back and tell us, in 2 weeks now, you're going to see it. It's going to be great. It's going to be big. Give me 2 more weeks. You're going to see. He's doing everything to do mass distraction. There are some legal issues here going on that are personal to him in Washington, D.C. that we don't want to be involved in. And he's looking for another headline to escape his personal responsibility.
You're sort of talking about the politics of distraction around the Jeffrey Epstein case files, and certainly Congress had an update on that. But before we make that turn, I do just want to ask you, because of the waffling and the back and forth, how are you and the governor and other Illinois officials, the mayor, like, are you on a text chain? I mean, how are you all keeping apprised of what each other are hearing and knowing so that you have the most up-to-date information?
Well, I talk to the elected officials all the time. I just happened to bump into Senator Dick Durbin the other day. We all share the same concerns. What's happening now is unprecedented. He is trampling the Constitution. He's overreaching his authority. And all presidents have had the challenge of the restraint of power. How do you protect the nation, yet also let the people have liberty? This Chicagopolis, or whatever he's calling it, he comes from a very, very dark place. Now he's basically calling the American cities the enemy. He's saying that Chicago represents American carnage. Like, what is wrong with this person? We've got millions of tourists that come. There are 77 communities in the city of Chicago. 22 communities have the highest level of violence. Most of the communities in the city of Chicago have no gun violence. And so to paint the whole city is absolutely incredible, and it's wrong.
Congressman, I really appreciate you coming in, giving us sort of the grounds view of what you're hearing from your constituents and in your community. And we'll, of course, continue to keep a close watch on what's happening in Chicago. Democratic Congressman Jonathan Jackson of Illinois, thank you for coming on.